Recently, I attended Dining for Dignity. It's a fundraiser for Nourish KC, an organization with which we partner that focuses on hunger relief. One of the videos highlighted Nourish KC's Kansas City Community Kitchen. The kitchen serves hot, nutritious breakfast and lunch meals at no cost in a restaurant-like setting to all who come, with no questions asked. The video showed persons served by the community kitchen. Many do not look like you and me. Their faces reflect that they are seeing hard times. Some are homeless, some have other challenges. These folks are the ones that we may fear or distrust. We may think they're in this situation because they're lazy. But the speaker on the video said something that really struck me. He said, "We've all heard, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But some people have no shoes." Scripture calls us to love the shoeless among us. In the Hebrew Scriptures, God's spokesman Moses exhorts the chosen people to love your neighbor as you love yourself, to show love and compassion for the widow, the orphan, the foreigner, the poor, and the slave, to show love for the other, for people not like them. Why? Because the Hebrews knew how it felt to be an outcast. They were slaves in Egypt, and out of God's great love for them, He delivered them from oppression. And He mandated that they share that unconditional, divine love with the rest of the world. We hear the words of the Hebrew Scriptures in our gospel lesson today. Jesus is in Jerusalem at the beginning of what we know as Holy Week. He's been winning in adversarial question and answer sessions with scribes representing different sects in first century Judaism. These scribes are kind of like today's seminary professors. One scribe has watched these exchanges and comes to Jesus not as an adversary, but as a fellow teacher and interpreter of the law. Rabbis were often questioned on what is the greatest among the 613 laws of the Torah. That's the question this scribe poses to Jesus. Jesus answers by first reciting a prayer from Deuteronomy called the Shema. It begins with the phrase, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, love the Lord your God. The Lord is one. It continues, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. This prayer is the positive expression of the first commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. In other words, you are to be all in when you love God. Jesus doesn't stop with the Shema. Jesus is a revolutionary interpreter of the Torah, and he links the first commandment with the second from Leviticus. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. We might think, well, these commandments aren't so hard. Love is easy, isn't it? But maybe the commitment that Jesus calls for is harder than it looks. First, we are to love God with every fiber of our being, because He first loved us. To love God without reservation means that we have to overcome our sinful inclination to act as though everything revolves around me. To love God without reservation means that we have to move to a lower priority whatever we cherish more than God. And we are to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. We are to seek and serve Christ in all persons. Those are among the promises we make in our baptismal covenant. Who is our neighbor? In the New Testament, we see observers of the Jesus movement saying that these followers of the way have been turning the world upside down. That Christianity is countercultural is shown in sharp relief by by the news that we hear every day. The words of the Hebrew Scriptures, that are in the words of our gospel today, calls forth love for the poor, the homeless, the hungry, the migrants, and victims of disease, violence, and war. The opposite of love is fear and distrust. The result of fearing and distrusting others can be as nondescript as ignoring the panhandler begging at the side of the road, or as horrific as the synagogue shootings in Pittsburgh last week. Our presiding bishop, Michael Curry, has shared an example of how overcoming fear and distrust and showing love can change the world, one person at a time. Bishop Curry was making a pastoral visit to a diocese, and he was the speaker at a banquet. And afterward, he was greeting people, and people were taking selfies with him. And out of the corner of his eye, he noticed one of the people waiting in line to meet him. The bishop described the man as kind of a big football player kind of guy, a really big white guy with a beard, wearing overalls, not smiling, and looking a little menacing. Finally, it was the man's turn. He came up to the bishop. He looked down at the bishop, right in the eyes. The bishop thought, "Oh, Lord, have mercy, I sure hope you're a nice person." Then the bishop could see tears welling up in the man's eyes. The man said, "I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank you for the Episcopal Church. You see, I was born and raised in hatred and bigotry. For black people, for Jews, for Catholics. That's how I was raised. And when I went to school, I allied myself with people who thought the same way that I did and shared my views. When I left school, I moved to a small community. And on one Sunday morning, I went to a little bitty Episcopal church with about 10 people in it. Those folks just took me in. They actually loved me. Even when I told them who I was, they took me in and loved me. They helped me understand who Jesus is. They gave me my life again. And I just want to thank you for being my bishop, and thank you for the Episcopal Church." As Bishop Curry says, don't underestimate the power of redemptive, unselfish, unconditional love. It's changed the world before, and it can change the world again. So love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. You can do all three and change the world with God's